Early recovery, early sobriety. Some people, it's a pink cloud, it's wonderful. Other people, it's nonstop anxiety for a couple months. And for most of us, it's a combination of the two. Here are 12 tips that'll help you get through that period. It's tough, but you can get through it. The last 4, super important. I'm K Ruggs, the Soberdog. I am a certified peer recovery coach. I'm also in recovery myself. All these tips are things that have helped me, but also helped other people that I talk to on a daily basis, and addiction doctors and counselors that I work with. Compiled these to help get you guys the best info possible. All right, 12 tips. Number 1, you have to accept and understand that crazy emotions are gonna come in early recovery. It is that roller coaster. Some days are going to be good. Some days are going to be great. Some days are going to be terrible. The sooner we can accept that everything is not rainbows every day, it helps so much to get through it. Because if you're like me, I thought, oh, I'll put down the drinking and drugs and, life will be perfect. Well, life still happens, especially when our brain's trying to repair itself from years of damage with these substances. Day 25 might be awful. Day 42 might be terrible. Just getting through the day without using, you are a success. When I have a terrible day or bad emotions, I try to look at the bright side and say, it's good that I'm feeling this, because I went, over a decade numb to good things, bad things, anything, just numb. So the fact that I could feel pain or anxiety or whatever, it's a good thing that, we're repairing, we're repairing. So that's a good feeling. Number 2, very important, change, evaluate your living situation. Amber Hollingsworth, she's got an awesome channel, Put the Shovel Down. When I talk to her, she always says things about the video we did. If a kid goes to rehab, and when they say kid, I don't know, maybe 15, 25, or I guess technically this could be for anybody. When they come back, they shouldn't go back to the same place they left from, even if it's their parents' house and they're 16 years old. Go to a sober living place, go somewhere else for a little bit, because it changes that whole brain chemistry, and it teaches us to be adults and live for ourselves, to not go back to wherever we left from, where said problems were. And I'm not saying that it's because the parents or whoever lived there is the problem. It's just we see the same environment, the same things, the same bed, the same rooms, the same actions. So changing that up is huge. Number 3, create a go-to plan and a go-to action when cravings or triggers hit. Some type of action that just takes your mind off it right away. And what I would also say is, with that action plan, so figure out your action. For me, it was and still is push-ups. I'll drop and do push-ups, and it usually changes my thinking for quick enough, to just get out of the craving or the trigger. And but then immediately followed up with a call to somebody in recovery, somebody I could talk to that's going to talk to me for a couple minutes and just walk through it with me and get my mind off it. And I'm a firm believer too in when we tell somebody else something, it takes some of the power away from it. So just getting it out there is huge. But create some action. Go for a walk. Whatever, something that can just kind of quickly take your mind off it. Dogs, animals are a huge one for me. Start petting the dog, super focused on it. Stop paying attention to the trigger, the craving. Number 4, get involved in some type of recovery program. I'm a 12-step person. That's helped me save my life, AA, NA, but it's different for everybody. Just any program is huge. That connection, that bond with other people, like-minded people who are going through similar struggles, smart recovery, 12 steps, fitness recovery groups. There's a lot of CrossFit groups that do their workout and then have like a mini talk session after about any struggles. Church groups. There's so many. Any type outpatient, any type of continued recovery is just huge and essential, and it keeps the focus on a daily basis of that positive, forward momentum. Because unfortunately, addiction is not something we go to rehab for and we're cured. We get sober and we're cured. It doesn't work like that. It's gotta be, I look at my recovery like a diabetic would look at insulin. If they need to take their insulin every day, I have to have my recovery every day. There's no cure for diabetes. There's no cure for addiction. For me, whatever that program is, and personally it's 12-step, I got to do something every day. That insulin I need every day. Number 5, learn to be comfortable in a little bit of boredom and learn to be comfortable without chaos. So many of us, myself 1000%, became addicted to that chaos of the whole 9, waking up, running around, I'm half in withdrawal, I'm losing it, then it's go do some type of crime or something to get money. That's adrenaline, chaos, this and that. The withdrawal's getting worse. Then I get the money. Then I got to call the dealers, go meet them up. The whole time I'm going there, as soon as somebody answers and say yes, then I get a little bit of energy and excitement. Then I get there. Maybe they're running late. Then the withdrawal kicks in again. Then they give me the stuff. Then I get high. Then it's a huge adrenaline and dopamine boost and all that. And it's just this constant, and then hour after the high, the whole cycle starts over, and it can be all day, every day. Then I get into recovery, and it's like there's this whole chunk of the day dead, where I'm like, my body and brain are, where's the chaos? Where's the up and down and adrenaline? And as much as we say oh, I hated the drama, I'm so glad not to be in the chaos, I craved it almost unconsciously. Like, this part of me saying, I hated that drama and chaos, I'm so glad to be done. And this part of me is like creating mini drama to fill it. So be comfortable without that. And what that means is being comfortable, with a little bit of boredom. I always say don't have boredom in early recovery, but it's kind of impossible to not have any. So do fun activities, fill it. But also, if you are alone for a little bit, just be comfortable with yourself. Try to. And if you really can't, distract it with something positive. A positive video, watch a series on Netflix, go walk the dog, something to not crave that chaos. Number 6, get help with other issues, whatever they may be. Eating disorder, gambling, depression, anxiety, PTSD, any of that stuff. Get help with these other issues, outside help if you need it, therapy, whatever, because we get sober, and like I said earlier, it's not, everything doesn't just work out because we put the drugs and alcohol down. A lot of times it can actually be harder because we use the drugs and alcohol to cope. Now we don't have it, and we got to deal with all of life's normal problems. But there's plenty of ways to do it. Along with that is continued treatment. Kind of goes back to what we were just saying a minute ago. We're not cured from addiction until they have a cure. We're never cured. So continued treatment's great. Outpatient, 12 steps, something that'll daily, just keep you focused on that. I know a lot of people say, I went to rehab, I'm done. For me, I voluntarily stayed in outpatient an extra 4 months because it just helped so much, a couple times a week. Number 7, I know we've all heard it, and it kind of goes back into number 2, changing people, places, and things. Can seem very generic and broad. Change people, places, and things. What is that supposed to mean? Or no kidding, blah, blah, blah. But it's very essential. Everything from negative people. My sponsor always told me, put your socks on left to right if you did right to left. Change little things to get your brain in a different cycle. I don't drive through any of the neighborhoods I used to buy with. Even if it takes me 15 extra minutes to go around, who cares? Anybody I used to use with, if it's not in a positive setting, I'm seeing them at a rehab or an AA meeting or something, I'm not just picking them up and going for a joyride, because it's only going to be a matter of time before they say, take me here. Can I borrow money to do this? Anything that is within that old lifestyle, get rid of it, change it, move on. Number 8, break everything down. Break it down. So many things come at us in early recovery that we're trying to rebuild. And a lot of times we get super momentum. I'm going to get my credit score back up. I'm going to rebuild my relationship with my parents and my siblings and my girlfriend or boyfriend. And I'm going to get my job back. I'm going to save $10,000. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. All those things are wonderful and great, and those goals are essential in recovery, but it can get so overwhelming. I tried to sit down the first, after I got through withdrawal, then it was like, all right, I'm going to do this, and it was just, whoa, too much. So it was like, okay, let me focus on finances for a couple weeks, and then let me work on relationships a little bit when I got a couple of financial things here. And it's all going to take time, and it's all going to be big tasks, so we break it down into small tasks. They always say, like, how do you save $1 million? $1 at a time. So it's the same with anything. I rebuild my credit one little thing at a time. Rebuild relationships, one phone call, one dinner, one, nice comment at a time. It's all just little things. Do what I can today. Tomorrow I'll do a couple more little things and a couple more little things. Break it all down. Now the 4 big ones. So important, in my opinion, super important. Number 9, get to the root of the problem. All of us in addiction and alcoholism, gambling addiction, eating disorders, whatever it is, there's typically some cause or root cause of our desire to escape with, our substances or our act, whatever it is, gambling, whatever it is. It could be past trauma, PTSD, self-esteem issues, our upbringing, childhood, or a combination, a bunch of those. But there's usually some causes that we have to get to and face. This is way easier said than done. I've sat in a therapy session where we start digging on deep issues that I've avoided for decades, and it's like borderline anxiety attack. So, go at your comfortable pace, but don't shy away from it. This stuff has to be faced. And it's one of those things like, climbing up a mountain. It might suck on the way up, but once you get there, it is just an incredible view and burden off your shoulders and so freeing. So don't shy away from the pain of getting there. Number 10, fill that void. When we stop doing drugs and alcohol, I've said this before, it's controversial, people disagree and get mad, but it's the truth. It is like losing a loved one. It is like losing a pet, losing a loved one, losing a family member, losing a lover. We used this substance all day, every day, for years on end. It becomes part of every cell in our body, our brain, our actions, our thoughts, and then boom, we're done with it. There is going to be a huge void. There's going to be denial. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be this void of where is my lover? I loved drugs. It is what it is. So now I have that void. I have to fill it with something positive. Most people jump to relationships to fill this. In my opinion, that's not a good thing to do for at least the first year. Because typically, if you rely on somebody else to fill that void, it is not going to be filled, never will be, and who knows what they're doing, how their recovery is, or if you break up with them 3 months down the line, you're right back to that empty void, and it might be even worse. So filling it with a passion, with family that you know is going to be there and you can rely on, it's not going to break up with you, things that just help rebuild that physical brain, chemistry, the dopamine, the serotonin, the endorphins, exercise, things like that are all good for this. But also that void in our heart. This is where spirituality can come into it. What is that thing for you? If it's church, if it's a higher power, something to help fill that void. Number 11, acceptance. I used to hate this word. I know it could sound cheesy and, what is that supposed to mean? But accept that every day is not going to be great. It's not going to be super easy. Stuff's gonna happen. Death still happens. People get fired from work. People break up from relationships. Anything that can normally happen in life happens to people in early recovery and sobriety, or all of recovery and sobriety. Accept it and we deal with it and we move on. But trying to fight it and be like, why isn't every day perfect? Well, every day is not perfect for anybody, let alone all the damage we did in the past. So the quicker we can accept that some days are going to suck, some things are going to happen, just keep our recovery on track, the better off we'll be. Number 12, my biggest one, biggest one, build that support network and use that support network. Use it, please. I know so many people who build a huge support network in recovery and don't use it. They get hundreds of phone numbers, they have hundreds of lists of meetings and groups and this, and they don't use it. We have to build that and use it. Relying on support is huge and essential, and this means people in the recovery world, because my parents are my biggest supporters, but they would not be my first 5 calls if I was struggling with a craving. I'd call my people in sobriety and recovery because they understand it better. So build that up, build that network, build it, and use it. One of my sponsors had me call people every day for the first 30 days, even if I had nothing to say, just to build that muscle memory, that habit, that reflex of dialing, so that when a struggle did come, my first reaction was to dial somebody in recovery. So that's so huge, so essential. All right, those are 12 tips to get through early sobriety, early recovery. It is not easy, but it is so worth it. Embrace that hard work, embrace that recovery, and get through it, and you got it. I know you guys do. All right? We all got it. Help keep each other sober every day. K. Ruggs, the Soberdog, and I'm out. See ya.